Hi friends, it's Sarah from Ruffles and Rain Boots. We're going to make this today. I'm going to give you a free file. That will be below in the description box. Now, if this goes too quickly for you, go to your YouTube playback speed inside of the settings, and anything above the word normal will slow this down. So I'm going to give you a free tool that I use a lot, and it's called the Craft Lab Generator. It is on Atom.com. This is a 100% free tool. So if you go to Craft Lab and then hit this little tab called Generator, scroll down. So there's all these, but scroll down to the box generator. It'll have a little free tag. Click on that. Now, when you open that, at the left will be a whole bunch of templates. Now, you can access this within the xTool Studio as well, but I think it's easier to show you here. I'm going to click on this box. It's not going to look anything like this when we're done. I'm going to turn off the pattern here. I'm going to size this. You can see up on my tab, I have like inches to millimeter converter, and so that's just me typing in my weight or my height and my width. I'm going to make sure that this is 0 in kerf, because if you do not know the kerf for the material and your laser, you can find that out later and we can put it in later. I highly recommend you do that. I'm going to turn off the border. I'm going to turn off everything. But look, this one border, it's still there. That will cut a big hole out of the center. So I don't want that, but I'm not worried. I'm going to download this. You can also just import it directly into Studio. Both are options. I like to download and save it. I'm going to drag it into a brand new canvas and zoom out. And you can see here, there's our box. You are already a little worried, or you haven't had some big experience yet with the software, you can book me for a one-on-one. I'll put the link for the xTool squad down below. Okay, so you can come up here. You can see all of these individual pieces. I ungrouped them, and now we're going to take away this big cutout hole just by going into Edit and removing the nodes. Again, this will be done for you. You will not have to do this for your file, but I want to teach you how to do this on your own. Now, because I made that top section the front, I don't need the little tab lift, right? I'm going to bring in one of my SVGs. You can use any SVG, image, photos. You can make a cute little photo light up box for like a family photo or keepsake box. But I'm going to use this SVG I made, and I'm just going to bring it in, and now I'm going to zoom in and I'm going to size it. Okay, so I'm going to leave it grouped, and I'm going to save my file because right now none of this is saved. As a reminder, if you're saving locally, it does not auto save, so you definitely want to do that periodically. I'm just sizing all of the entire SVG before I ungroup anything. Now I'm going to go to the very bottom left into the Objects and Layers panel. That'll open all that you see here, all of our individual box pieces and one big group. Now don't worry, if we ungroup the group, a whole bunch of stuff comes up. Every single thing you see, every dot to an eye, every star, every firefly, every accent on the mason jar, all of it comes up as individual pieces, but you can group them together. So I'm just highlighting all of the fireflies. I'm going to hit Command or Control G to group them together, and then I can name it fireflies. This is an easy way to keep your sheet organized. I highly recommend you always have this tab open. Again, it's called the Objects and Layers panel. Looks like a little cake in the bottom left-hand side. So you can see I have some compound vectors, I have vectors, and I have just basic shapes. You'll see those in a second. We can group everything that we want as a like processing mode. So for my example, it's all the engraving. I'm just going to throw all of the engraving into a big bucket. Now for the stars, I'm going to duplicate this. I'm going to have a cutout for the star, but I'm also going to have a score line around the star. So I'm highlighting the star group. I'm putting in a score outline offset and hitting confirm. Right above my stars, you can now see a new vector, which I'm going to name score stars. I'm going to right click and change it to purple. So I'm going to also make sure that's set to score. My other stars will be cut out. So I'll be changing this group to cut. I'll also be changing it to a red by right-clicking and putting it on the red layer. That just helps my brain. Purple is score, red is cut, blue is engrave. Okay, and we'll fix the yellow in just a second. So now you can see each star has a red and a purple, and you just made that. So now I'm going to actually cut out the fireflies. I don't want to duplicate the entire fly. I just want to duplicate a little tiny circle. That's their little booty, right? So I'm just going to put circles everywhere I want a light to be. So I'm just copy and pasting some circles. But what if the firefly bum is in the back? Okay, take 2 circles, highlight both, go up to the combine menu and subtract them. Now you have a cute little vector. Looks like their booty, right? All right, so I'm just going to do that a couple more times for all the fireflies I have here. Again, this file is available for you to follow along directly with this tutorial without having to do all this work. But I do believe in educating you on how you can do it yourself. Okay, so we're just going to group all of those together and call them firefly cuts or something. All right. Now, little file cleanup, you can rename and name these, you can group them, you can ungroup them as many times as you want. You are the master of your domain. So I'm going to ungroup and unlock all of the background pieces that I had done because I was only messing with this one. And now I'm going to group that all together. All the score, all the engrave, all the cut. And that's going to help me keep my file in case I accidentally move something, right? You can see I have all that grouped. That's one piece. At this point, we want to go up to the top right and choose our material. Why? It's going to help us determine our settings. I'm going to give you a little bit of tutorial on the settings in just a bit, so don't freak out. I'm going to finalize and talk about how you speed things up. So you can see here, I'm in the score menu. All of these actions, you can come in, especially for something tested like basswood, and you can just click on all these, okay? You should run a material test for everything you do and everything you put in your laser. But I do want to say it's all right here as well for a lot of the tested materials. Be sure to save. That's what I just did. All right, I'm just making some notes here for any of my new users. I'm just basically giving you the steps, and I do want to make sure I turn the output off for that text because we don't need it. I'm just cleaning up my file here because I think we're going to be a little bit over. Now here's something people get really confused on, and that's kerf. And I'm going to explain to you why this one little square is going to save you so much headache. So all I'm doing is prepping that little square. Again, I'm going to hit save because you're going to get this file for free. Now we are ready to actually turn on our machine and put in our material. So you can see I'm using a piece of basswood plywood. That is the M1 Ultra's ladder system. I, however, have a piece of warped basswood, so I'm going to use the M2's little holders. These are magnetic holders that expand for different sizes of material, and they just magnet to the base. I do have a piece of foil underneath. When I close the machine, it automatically takes this global picture. That's nice, all done for us. And at this point, we already have our mode on, we already have our material, so now we can measure the thickness. Now I'm going to show you, this is the best upgrade. I love this in other units that I have. I can say, I want you to measure right there, and choose on the screen, and it will go and measure. But hey, remember, we had a piece of warped basswood, so I'm going to say, hey, can you tell me what the difference is down here? You can see it's going to go from 0.525, I think, to 0.526. That's pretty awesome. So now I know my measurement, my distance is pretty good. A little file cleanup here. And as a note, they do recommend you stay 5 millimeters away from the actual clips. So I'm just making a little 5 millimeter square by hitting R on my keyboard, going up and sizing it to 5 millimeters so that I can be sure that I always keep a 5 millimeter distance away. Now, everything in here, I'm going to make blue, and that's personal preference because blue is engraved to me in my mind. And we already have our cuts available, so we're just cleaning it up. Making sure everything else is off. There's no output going to be done. I'm going to show you the coolest, well, one of the coolest upgrades. If I decide to stitch all of these images together, that far right camera button is going to do it for me. If I want the whole entire left side, I want a picture of that. That's what that button just did. Instead of taking a single picture, it put them all together for me, giving me a very good view of where I can put my little cutout here for Kerf. To remove that view, you just right click. I want to do it up here at the top as well, so I hit the stitch button, I draw my rectangle, and look at it, there it is. Again, we can make sure to turn that off by right clicking up in that view area. I'm going to remove my little rectangle, and again, everything else is off because all I'm going to do is I just want to process this little group of a curve cut and the actual score. Now, if you do this on your own, it's 25.4 millimeters or 1 inch exactly. You can make it any size as long as you keep the size correct. I always like to score a word at the bottom, and that is because when you cut Kerf, Kerf can be different on the horizontal and the vertical plane. We're concerned primarily with that horizontal. So I'm just going to go ahead and process this. It immediately scored it and cut it. And now I'm just going to take that little square using some calipers. Remember, it was 25.4 and now mine's basically 25.22. So I can just make a little note here. I'm going to turn all that off because we're done with that file. I'm going to hit T on my keyboard. And this is a calculation, 25.4 minus 25.22. That determines your Kerf, and then you take that divided by 2 because you're going to move on either side, which is why you have to divide it by 2. Okay? That is for my machine and my material. You need to make this cut for your machine and your material. Okay? But now that we have that, we can choose everything red, or you can choose just your cutout pieces for the actual box. You come over here, you turn on the Kerf offset. Remember, we want to add back the 0.09. So we're going to add in right here 0.09. Do not put a negative in front of that because then you will be taking additional material away. All right, so now we can go ahead and process, but your settings determine your timing. You see, if we process right now, it's 20 minutes and 49 seconds. That's a no from me. So what we can do is you can either highlight all these individuals or just take all the blues, which is what I'm going to do. Just click on the blue, and we can adjust our settings to reduce the amount of time. So I'm going to go ahead, click on the blue, create a compound path. So instead of all that list of stuff, we have one path. That is what? Just under 12 minutes. That saved us 8 minutes. All right, next up, you can also change the LPC in addition to the speed. So when we come in here and we talk about our settings, you can determine based on the picture, but remember, the lower you go on these charts, the slower the speed. We also can change the LPC. It will change even if you don't change anything in here. The LPC calculation, if I change that, we are now, what was I? It's up 15 and something maybe? Yeah, 15 and a half minutes. Only changing the LPC, leaving everything else the same. So I'm going to come in here and show you, leaving everything else the same, only changing LPC. Now let's go down to 120. You're going to save what, 2 minutes? Now, you're the only person with your testing who's going to determine what you want to run. Mine, I would never run a 4x6, anything less than 140, because it'll just have a whole bunch of lines in it. But you're going to learn that on your own. So I'm fine with the 15 minutes. I'm actually going to go and make some more files for y'all while I wait for this. But when I hit start, you're going to get a message like this. Don't worry. And when it actually starts, you now can see it processing. That's a really bad view because of where it is. But you can see I press start. It'll jostle a little bit and then it'll immediately start processing. I have the air purifier, the AP2, and it automatically connects because I have the dongle loaded. All right, and there you go. That's what the engraving looks like. I'm not touching a thing. I just wanted to tell you that. That looks beautiful. So now what we can do is we can actually hit the blue, turn it all off because we're all done. But I only want to process this one first board, which means I have a score that I need to turn on and a cut I need to turn on. All these little baby, booties, and then the score, and then the outline cut for that. So 2.5 minutes later, we hit start here, we hit start on our board. Then I'm going to turn all those off and just process the pieces. Now you can see when they're done, they kind of fall a little bit down because we're using the magnet standoffs. And now we can just take it out and wipe the edges. I am not going to sand this or clean it up in any other way other than running the edges on this paper towel. So I've had basswood cuts where nothing gave me soot, but this one gave me a little soot. So you can see here, I'm just popping these things together. Probably shouldn't do this on the top of your machine, but I want to make sure that there's no fancy editing. All I'm doing is just popping these things into place. This makes a really good ship kit, which means you can cut all of this and then a kid can put on the lights or put it all together, meaning you save a lot of money on shipping. Kerf cuts, figuring out kerf early on is going to be the most valuable thing you can do, especially if you're making 3D items. Now, you can see I did not clean up the back of that. You can see all that char up of the stars in the left-hand corner. That's basically just the sap from the board. I'm going to put the stars on. I like to tape them down before putting them on finally. But you can see there's the annoying blinking. And you can see I also forgot one star right there. So my bad. But this is easy because watch this. I'm just going to line it up, and then in the back, because that's where I've got most of my clippies to pop in, I'm just going to start on one side, press it down, start on the other, or move to the other side, and then press this all in. There you go. Now you've got a solid shelf sitter that lights up. That's it. You can make that. I mean, don't forget the lights in that one little section, but you can make this. This is in natural light. You can see, not cleaned up, not sanded or anything. And then here it is with the non-blinking annoying thing. Now friends, I hope this was helpful. As a reminder, you can get the file for free, or you can book a one-on-one with me. Both links will be down below. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe for more fun.